Hi, I'm Farmer Terry. Welcome to the Urban Farm. And today I'm talking about May. May is our frost-free month in this Midwest area. I'm in northern Indiana. So on average, May 15th is our frost-free date. And what that means is that we can start planting things that are sensitive to frost. Before May 15th, we've been planting cold crops. We have a great harvest here that we planted in March, beets and carrots. And I continue to grow beets and carrots even in May. In fact, I'm ready for another planting of them now. But I can also start planting those things that require a warmer soil and that are sensitive to frost. So a couple of those things are included with me today in the form of seeds. I could also start transplanting those things too. So after May 15th, and I have to say, that's an average day in our area. So that means we might still get frost after May. I think the latest I've ever seen frost in South Bend, Indiana is May 30th. So I always keep that in the back of my mind, and I wait to do my transplanting of peppers and tomatoes and pumpkins and melons and those things that really love a warmer soil to June 1st. But what I really like to start doing in May is planting seeds of warm, loving crops. So corn, this might be familiar to you. It is the Three Sisters garden. Corn, squash, and beans are a great companion planting. And these are the seeds from last year's crops. And so we simply sow them together, but I do stagger the plantings of them. I plant the corn first, and oftentimes we'll even plant the corn a little bit before the frost-free date, being that it'll be in the ground for a while and protected by the soil. So you always want to plant your tallest thing in the middle of your garden bed. Well, I do. My garden beds are about 36 inches wide. Depending on which way they face, if they're south facing, you might want to plant them all the way to the back. Mine is an east-west garden, and I'm going to go ahead and plant the corn in the middle, because not only will the corn grow the tallest, it will also be the support for the beans, which I will plant after my corn is about 6 or 8 inches tall. So it'll be a few weeks. So I'm planting these maybe a ½ inch deep, and I'll thin these out if they all germinate, if I'm that lucky. And then after about 3 weeks, or 6 to 8 inches of height, I will then add the squash on one side and the beans on the other. Now, if I'm doing pole beans, I might wait even longer to get a little more height on the corn. But if I'm doing bush beans, I'll go ahead. Remember, bush beans any beans belong to the legume family. That is, legumes are plants that draw down atmospheric nitrogen. The only way that humans can get nitrogen, which we so need for our health, is through the digestion of the plant and the taking in by the fruit and vegetable. So we always want to have legumes. The other thing legumes do is they have a special bacteria on their root that allows them to digest the atmospheric nitrogen and to share it with root systems around it. So it's kind of like a self-fertilizing system. That's the big deal about the Three Sisters garden. It gives support to the system if you're doing pole beans. It gives nitrogen, so it's a self-sustaining system as far as fertilization goes as well. And it's environmentally friendly in that it draws down atmospheric nitrogen. And of course, all plants draw down the carbon. But let's just take a little look at some of these different seeds. Green beans I plant. Now remember, frost-free for me is around May 15th, but I will sometimes put them in my first planting in May 1, because I know they'll be in the ground for a little while, and they might not come up as fast as they would in June 1st, but they're often protected until that mid-month time frame. So this seed looks a little bit different, and this is a bush bean. I might add the pole bean to the corn planting when the corn is a couple feet tall. And then squash. Squash covers the ground, holds in the moisture, suppresses the weeds, and creates an abundant food source, especially if it's a winter squash. These are a winter squash. So these three plants grow well together, and I'm always thinking of my Three Sisters garden, getting it started in May after our frost-free date or slightly before. Now if I was doing transplants, those are my tomatoes and peppers and eggplants, I'm going to wait till July 1, even though the frost-free date is May 15th, just to be sure. Those plants are super sensitive to frost, and all that hard work growing them as seedlings, we don't want to lose that to a night of frost. So the other thing we can do, and I do anyway, is cover my plantings up with this great screen, this cloth, this netting actually. And I do that because we have an abundant amount of rabbits this year. And this simple cloth protects them as they germinate and until they get big enough to withstand a little nibbling from our friends, the rabbits. So consider doing that, or even a Typar cloth will hold in humidity until our seeds germinate, and that's always helpful as well. All through the summer months, I'd cover with netting or a little heavier cloth for holding in humidity just until germination, and then I'll replace the cloth with the netting. So May's a busy month on the farm. Lots of plantings going in, and just thankful for warmer days, and still have a little bit of cool nights, but that's always nice too. Thanks for joining me at the farm, and have fun with your spring plantings.